and welcome back to another Technology Today Future Tomorrow video. I'm Zayne Sprague, and this is part 3 in the creating a HelloWorld function for Amazon Alexa. Um, so today we're going to be hooking our Alexa to a AWS, or no, sorry, we're going to be hooking Alexa into an Amazon skill, or Alexa skill, and then we're going to be hooking that into our AWS Lambda function that we made in part 2. I said before that this series was going to be 5 videos, and initially it was. It turns out though that I just kind of combined videos 2 or parts 2 and 3 into one little bit bigger video where we were creating the AWS function. Initially I was going to have that code editing be like a separate video, but if I did that, then the actual AWS configuration was going to be like, a minute long, and I figured why not just throw it in. So this series actually going to be 4 videos long, 3 if you skip the line by line video. That's optional. So without further ado, let's hook Alexa up, or Alexa skill up, and finish out this really cool function. So as you can see, I have not left the Lambda function. Let's go ahead and switch over to the Amazon developer portal though, and go ahead and start making our skill. I already have it pulled up. It was just in a separate tab. If you haven't or forgot how to pull up the developer portal, I'll leave a link in the video, but you should be able to just type in Amazon developer and it should be like the first link that pops up. Sign into it and then click on the Alexa tab. We're creating an Alexa skills kit. That's the actual functions that Alexa is going to be calling. So hit get started. You're going to see a whole bunch of functions that I have made already. Ignore them. Click add a new skill. Okay, so here is the first step. We're going to create a name for our function, or our Alexa skill. This is, strictly for you and other developers if you ever publish your skill. So call it something unique, but it doesn't necessarily matter. It's just for you, really. The invocation name, on the other hand, is extremely important. It needs to be something unique, and it needs to be something easily pronounced and easily picked up by Alexa, because this is the actual name of your function. The way how Alexa works is you say Alexa, and then you ask, and then you say the invocation name, just like how it's kind of used here in this example. Just as I've been saying in the examples I've given whenever we run the function, Alexa ask hello world. Hello world is the invocation name. It's how Alexa knows Alexa knows which app to look for. So I'm going to make my invocation name hello world. I recommend doing the same just for this first video, but if you're feeling adventurous, go ahead and change it to whatever you like. But for this purpose, I'm going to stick with hello world. Click next. So this is the interaction model. This is basically where all of the pieces come together for Alexa. It's how she knows what to feed your Lambda function. This is how you really customize the skill and build your Lambda function around the things that you can tell Alexa. The intent schema, if you remember in the previous video when I said you can have multiple parts to your function, this is where you differentiate that. You create intents for Alexa, and one intent can be to, as I used in the previous tutorial, one intent can be set my favorite color, and another intent can be get my favorite color. And those can have whenever it calls your Lambda function, they can actually have 2 separate functions that are called, and they differentiate between your intent name. Very cool stuff, very simple, little complex to explain because it's a little abstract. Once you start coding it, it becomes a lot more concrete. And it's pretty repetitive too, so it's not hard to pick up. So let's go ahead and get started. The way how intent schemas are built is through JSON. So what we're going to do is hit 2 curly brackets and start creating some I guess you could call it a dictionary from like Python or whatever, but it's just basic JSON. our first variable, or our first little like our first name in this JSON package is going to be intents, and it's an array. This is how you have like multiple intents, but since we're only doing one, we're only going to have one intent. So we're just going to hit the curly braces one more time, and then inside those curly braces we're going to say intent, and then we're going to put the name of that intent. If you also remember from the previous video, I asked you to make sure that you were really careful about the capitalization in the hello world intent name if statement. It's because I'm using caps on hello and world right here. If these do not match, your lambda function will not work. It's important to know that. So that's done. This is all we need for the intent schema. Let's go ahead and go to sample utterances. This is a really cool part. This is essentially how you want Alexa to work with your function. You can add as many of these as you want. I'm going to just add one. You want to put the intent name of the that you want to be called, and then your sample utterances. This allows Alexa to, like, whenever you say Alexa, get my favorite color, you would put like get my favorite color intent name, and then get my favorite color, like the actual phrase after that, and then Alexa would be able to match the phrase up and then say, oh, you were talking about this intent. So let me use an example real quick. In this sample utterance, I'm going to say hello world to introduce us. What this is saying, I'm going to say Alexa, ask hello world, so she's going to know to look at this function, to introduce us. The to introduce us, Alexa's going to match that phrase with what I've written here and know to call the hello world intent. She's going to know to use this intent and send that to my lambda function, and then my lambda function will pick that up and say, okay, we need to run the hello world function. That's important to understand because that's how it all comes together. Once we have that set up, we're going to hit next, and then we're going to look at configuration. We are using an AWS Lambda ARN Amazon resource name. So click this, click North America if you're in North America, and then in order to feed this, you remember I said in the first video it requires a string to identify which Lambda function. We're going to go back to the Lambda management console, and we are going to scroll all the way up to the top, and you'll see this little thing here, ARN. You want to copy this address right here, that's in blue, excluding ARN space hyphen space. You just want this right here, all in blue. Copy that and paste it into this text box, and then hit next. So this page is pretty cool. Your Amazon Alexa skill is actually completed. If you followed the instructions in my tutorial correctly, you should be able to say Alexa, ask hello world to introduce us, and she should say hello world. If you run into a problem, this page is really cool because it allows you to interface with Alexa skills through text instead of voice. In case your voice isn't getting picked up by Alexa correctly, it kind of just reduces the amount of errors. I am going to, so actually in this right here, text, enter utterance, you can go ahead and just type in the invocation name you gave the function. I gave it hello world. And then you can hit ask your function names right here. And then it should give you this JSON response that matches if you remember, the welcome function that we made in the second video, where she responded, hello, ask me to say hello. Pretty cool. If we said to introduce us, it should say hello world. Perfect. So what I can tell from this is that the function is up and running. The tests have worked. You can now use it locally. If you want to continue and publish, you would hit next and go through those steps. But since this is a hello world function, you don't really want to publish that. So I'm going to go ahead and show it off on Alexa real quick. Alexa, ask hello world to introduce us.
Hello world.
Perfect. I'm going to go also switch back and show you something really cool that you can do in case your Alexa function wasn't working and the test function wasn't working. So one thing that can happen is you can get a error response over here that says like your AWS Lambda function couldn't be reached or your web service couldn't be reached, etc. One of the things that you can do is you can take this Lambda request over here, take all of it, and hit Control C. This is the request that Alexa will be making to your Lambda function. Copy all of it and then go back over to your Lambda function. If you have not hit this test button before, you can hit test on your Lambda function, erase the default JSON stuff, and paste in the Alexa JSON, which actually I don't think I caught all of my JSON. I did not. So I'm going to copy this back over, try it again. Perfect. This is basically allowing us to skip the Alexa skill part and go straight to the Lambda function, run save and test. Mine ran correctly. If you had an issue, it would give you a stack trace. Something easier to handle, something easier to see than just, hey, your services can't connect. So yeah, that's a really cool way to be able to decode, debug your skills. Alrighty, so I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in this video and in this series. In the next video, though, I will be going in line by line of the code written for the Lambda function, so that you maybe, if you felt lost or if you didn't quite understand what was going on, we can kind of go more in depth into the actual request that is sent by Alexa and how our Lambda function deciphers it. But really, I think what you'll find is that it's kind of repetitive and it's a little arbitrary. You don't really need to know how all that stuff works unless you're really diving deep into like the construction of the response. But really, when I've been making, and I've made some pretty complex functions, I haven't had to worry too much about it. But again, I want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable, because I really wish somebody had really gone in depth with me when I was learning how to build Alexa apps. So this has been a Technology Today, Future Tomorrow video by Zayne Sprague. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.